So let's do a bit of a review of the proper Land Rover Defender. We all know the new model's out, and love or hate it, we all know deep down it's just a Discovery wearing a different name. Now the Defender, as we're looking at here, this is the last of a long lineage dating all the way back to 1948, and the original concept of the Series 1 Land Rover, although it was just known as a Land Rover back then. And it went through various iterations from the 80-inch, 86, 107, 109, into the Series 2, 2A, 3, Stage 1, and then we got the 90 and the 110 and the 127, eventually evolving into what we know as a Defender in about 1990, at the introduction of the Discovery model. So what we've got here is pretty much the last of the breed. This is a 2015 model or plate, 2.2 litre Puma 6-speed manual, hard top. It's been owned by a member of the family from new. Pretty low mileage, it's only got about 13,000 miles on it. It's really been used more as a holiday and weekend vehicle, not as a farm vehicle like some of the other Land Rovers that are on the farm. As you can probably tell, it's not 100% standard anymore. We're sporting some deep dish, basically Series 2B style rims. I think these are 16x8, and we're wearing Goodyear KM3 BFGs in 255/85/16, so they're quite a tall, chunky tyre. Very nice tread this, probably arguably the best road going mud terrain in a sort of a new tread pattern. There's extremer patterns out there, you know, if you want to go and do some competitions and stuff. There's lots of remold tyres that are very good and they will outperform these, but these are decently aggressive, but still retain some pretty good road manners. Very impressed with the tyres, and these rims just look great. You know, you can keep all your alloys, they don't belong on a vehicle like this. So we've got those. We've also got some heavy duty sidebars, although we do have the factory step as well. Now the steps came with the vehicle at the time of ordering, and the sidebars have been fitted afterwards. And that's pretty much all we've got for the mods, apart from the fact it's running a bigger intercooler and it's been remapped. I think it makes about 185 horsepower on the dyno, which is pretty good for a Land Rover. Factory there were like 122 horsepower or something, and it makes a lot more torque. But let's just have a little look inside. So as you can see, this vehicle does live on a farm, so even though it is more the weekend vehicle, it is used off-roading properly. It's a bit grabby on the outside. Inside we've got these gorgeous optional seats. These are actually very nice. They're a lot more comfy than the standard Puma seats, although I would say I'm still a fan of the original Defender seats in the pre-Puma models. They're very comfy too, but these just look nice, and the leather is really soft. And also, if we're seeing this light, but we have a very nice suede headlining in here as well. It's all the way back. So it is just a hard top. So you can see we've got the bare metal panels there. We've got the later Puma dash rather than the traditional dash that you found up until the TD5 models. We've got electric windows and air conditioning, and the 6-speed manual being the only gearbox available, and an aftermarket steering wheel as well. Personally, I think I prefer the earlier dash, because you kind of lose the vents. If we have a look at the bulkhead outside, the Pumas don't have the vents anymore. I've never ever experienced problems with them leaking, and they are actually very nice on a warm day or a muggy day to open them up. I think I prefer that over the aircon. But the dash is quite functional. It just sort of, it's tall, it towers quite a lot. As you can see, it doesn't really obscure the windscreen, but it certainly comes up a lot higher than the the original dash did. And you kind of don't have the storage space that the older dash used to give you. It had a nice tray that went all the way along the front. But obviously electric windows are quite nice. And we've got some other goodies in here as well, which make it a bit more modern, heated seats and the like. We've got remote central locking, so that works on all 3 doors. So at the back, just got the factory step, and then the factory rubber load liner, which just cuts down some of the drumming. And you can see, being a hardtop model, it's also missing the centre bulkhead, which, you know, I think that first appeared on the North American spec vehicles back in the sort of mid-late 1990s, but wasn't really prevalent on the rest of the world market until quite late. But it does make it quite open, although as you can see by the stuff on the floor, it doesn't hold it in the back quite so well. It does have a tendency to slide through to the front a bit more. It's that headlining again. So as a current owner of a 4th gen Jimny, I can say that this feels a little bigger, a little taller and a little heavier, but it drives very much the same on the road. It kind of has a very similar ride, which is generally pretty good, better than most sort of sports cars, or especially compact hatchbacks or city cars. So it's quite nice. It handles well, doesn't particularly lean or roll. It's got anti-roll bars on it, so you can sort of throw it around the corners quite a bit. You know, and it goes well. Being remapped, this engine is very, very grunty down low. Its party piece is definitely 5th gear, about 2000 RPM, and just gently squeeze the throttle and absolutely pin you into the seat. It really is quite impressive. But it's not really a speed monster. Going flat out, you kind of drop out of that big fat torque curve higher up in the RPM, and it's, you know, it's not slow, but it's not speedy, although it's probably quick for a Defender. 6-speed gearbox, don't know. All the Puma models, including the 2.4, have the same gearbox and ratios. It still runs the LT230 transfer box, which is the same ratio that's sort of been on all of the Defenders pretty much, bar a few exceptions for the military or the V8 ones. It's not a bad gear change, but it is clunky. You kind of really have to work at it. Some manual gearboxes are a joy to change gear, and with this you kind of have to really concentrate. It's very, very easy to make a very jerky gear change, especially 1st to 2nd and 2nd to 3rd. It really doesn't want to be hurried away from junctions at all. You're much better off getting it up into 3rd gear and then sort of accelerating away. On that note, it doesn't really pull away from a junction very well in 2nd. It really wants you to be in 1st. And I find the gearing's a bit odd. 3rd gear, it goes 2-lane revs, so if you're coming up to a 90-degree left turn or right turn, you know, you're turning off of one road onto another, 3rd gear just seems that a little bit too quick. You have to really whip round the corner, else it will really labour and make the whole vehicle shake. But if you drop it down to 2nd, you kind of feel like you're driving into, I don't know, not quite a brick wall, but so you say deep water. You know, it really slows the vehicle up a lot, and you feel like you're revving it quite high just to go around the corner. I don't know, it just feels a little bit mismatched gearing for road use there. And with the 6 gears, you know, if you're going up to roundabouts and that, you'll find you're probably going to be in 6th or 5th, and you kind of want to drop to 3rd to go over the roundabouts. So I find I do a lot of block changes 5th to 3rd, which once you get used to it, it's kind of fine, but it's just a bit weird really. Not something you'd normally do in a 5-speed vehicle. So what are my thoughts on this? It's bloody brilliant. It's perfectly adequate and comfortable enough that you could use this every day. It can tow 3.5 tonne. We've got lots of space in the back. And you could put some seats in here if you wanted as well. Economy, don't think it's great on economy. I think they sort of tend to do about sort of mid-20s. I'm pretty sure if you use all of the throttle travel, you can get that down into the low 20s quite easily. I think it's worse economy than the TD5 or the TDI engines that precede it. But it's perfectly comfortable enough and quiet enough that you can listen to the radio while you're driving along or have a conversation. It really isn't a horrid place to be at all, quite the opposite. The seats are really comfy. I'd quite happily do, you know, sort of a 4-hour stint without stopping. No trouble at all. And these tyres are, it just looks ace on these. So compared to the new Defender, it's a completely different vehicle. Now driving over here today, I came the country road route, so it's all sort of backcountry sort of C grade roads or B grade roads, unclassified. They'd probably be on the map, the little white roads. And I know the new Defender is quieter, a little bit more comfy, faster, has more grip. But I'll tell you what, coming through the bends, this is a lot more fun to drive. It just feels so much more alive. You know, if you're on the fence about getting a new Defender or something like this, your money's in a good place with one of these, I think. And you're going to enjoy it a bit more. Yeah, some people say they're a bit cramped, you haven't got the most elbow room, the handbrake's a bit close to your leg. You know, if you're over 6 foot, you might find that you struggle, or if you're really heavily sat. But for most average people, there's loads of room in there. And they're just great vehicles. And then of course you've got all the great off-road ability that these have as well. So we've got live axles front and rear, we've got 4-wheel traction control, so we've got open diffs on the axles, but to be honest, the traction control is going to get you most places. And if you do find you struggle for traction, you can always look at getting some ATBs fitted front and rear. They're not that expensive. Ashcroft Transmissions sell them for about £700 a piece, and they just bolt straight in. And this would go places I'm pretty sure a brand new 90 or 110 probably would struggle, mostly down to their size and weight. So yeah, if you're looking for an investment or just a really enjoyable vehicle to own, Defenders are cracking vehicles. We'll get this one out on the road at some point and do a bit of a road test as well.